7:18 on the Matt and Craig program. Time for my cousin Adam. Adam Calvert calling in. Hey, Adam. Can I call you Adam?
No, you can't, Matt. I mean, I've only been coming on this show for like a year and a half. I don't think we're on a first-name basis yet.
I just wanted, because I realized going into this thing that I just started calling you Adam from the jump, and I never thought maybe you prefer Mr. Calvert. Adam Calvert, Esquire.
I'd like my cousin Adam Esquire. I went full titles only.
Full title? Do you think when you have kids, you're going to require that they call you sir? Because I decided that I am.
Wow.
Well, no. See, that's the beauty of being a lawyer. You can have them call you Esquire.
Even your own children would call you Esquire. That's interesting.
Well, sure. I mean, I didn't go through all that school just to have my kids call me sir like everybody else. So I get them to call me Esquire.
Well, I mean, a lot of kids don't call, but kids don't nowadays. Kids don't refer to their parents as ma'am and sir, and I think that's a good.
No.
Because you know why it's so great, because it maintains a little bit of emotional distance
that's very true.
That you need in parenting.
Right? Yeah, you don't want to be emotional with your kids, right?
That's definitely. It's all the books I've read.
People show way too much love to their children in this day and age. It's ruining them. Look at the world we live in now, because parents love their children.
Glad we're all on the same page on this one.
Yeah, man. All right. This is an interesting story. This is one that Matt and I were actually going to talk about in the middle of the week, and we saved it for today just for you, Adam, so maybe you can make sense of all this tomfoolery. Safoorah Khan, she's a middle school teacher. She taught math for only 9 months in a tiny Chicago suburb when she made an unusual request. She wanted 3 weeks off for a pilgrimage to Mecca. The school district, faced with losing its only math lab instructor during a critical end-of-semester marking period, said no. Khan, a devout Muslim, resigned and made the trip anyway. Now, here's where it gets tricky. The Justice Department lawyers examined the same set of facts and reached a different conclusion, that the school's district decision amounted to outright discrimination against Khan. They filed an unusual lawsuit accusing the district of violating her civil rights by forcing her to choose between her job and her faith. As the case moves forward in the federal court in Chicago, it has triggered debate over whether the Justice Department was following a purely legal path or whether suing on Khan's behalf was part of a broader Obama administration campaign to reach out to Muslims. What is your opinion on this? Is it strictly a legal case, or is this some sort of political ploy?
Well, I mean, I think it's both. I don't know the politics as much as a lot of people out there, but from what I have read, that there is a political element to this, part of the Obama administration's agenda to reach out to Muslims. So this is part of that, from what people are saying. Now, legally, it's kind of a stretch of a case, but there is some ground for her lawsuit. An employer must make reasonable accommodations for workers' religious beliefs unless those beliefs create what's called a undue hardship. So the question here is whether or not her request and accommodating her request would create an undue hardship on the employer.
Well, I would say yes. I mean, they're saying that they had these critical tests coming up. She was the only math lab instructor. And so doesn't her request now become unreasonable? And so the school doesn't have to say okay to it, doesn't have to blankly sign off on it.
Well, you're right. And that's part of it, is that the school or any employer doesn't have to just accept the request of the employee. But if the employer proposes some sort of reasonable alternative and the employee turns it down, then the employer is okay. And that's the problem here, is that the employer just flat out denied her request. It didn't present some sort of reasonable alternative to which she could have said no, and in which case the school district would have been okay.
I don't think there is a reasonable alternative when you talk about Muslims going on pilgrimages. I don't think they're allowed to compromise. Well, just go half of the way and then come back around. Man, you have to it's like I think they have to do an all or nothing type of deal. I'm pretty sure.
You're talking about
exactly. I mean, you could say, well, maybe they could get a substitute. Well, apparently this woman is the only math lab teacher in the county, and or you could say, well, maybe she should do it at a different time of year. Well, the pilgrimage only happens at a certain time of the year each year, and this year it happened to be in December. Well, you could say, well, maybe she could just wait, until the next year. Well, a Muslim has to make the pilgrimage as soon as they have the funds to do so, and this woman had just acquired the funds to do so, probably through her teaching job, and so she had to go that December according to her religious beliefs.
Yeah, they have to do
it. Catch-22 here.
They have to do it during Ramadan, right? Or
I believe so.
Yes, during Ramadan. Yeah, they have to
during
visit
Ramadan.
a Ramadan, and then they go on the pilgrimage.
What's it really called again?
Ramadan.
Ramadan, that's right.
God. But why? Okay, if this is a legal case and she has grounds to stand on with this case, why is the Justice Department pursuing this?
Well, I think part of it is a political motive, and part of it is that the Justice Department just teamed up with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. And what the EEOC is it's a group, it's a government organization that reviews claims of employment discrimination. And it reviewed this woman's claim and said that she was discriminated against. So when the EEOC couldn't work out some sort of compromise, the government stepped in and said, well, we need to bring a lawsuit on her behalf to make sure that her rights are protected.
Okay, well, my next question was going to be, why does this religion get special treatment? And I think we're already answering it, that there's a political aspect to the story. So I'm just going to skip past that. For some reason, we're trying to appease a group that's been attacking us for the last decade, which I don't understand. But if the Justice Department pursues this and they win on her behalf, doesn't this set a precedent for everyone else if she wins? All religions. I could say that I need 3 weeks off for Christmas, I need time off for this, and just go ahead and plan ahead. Because if they're going to set a precedent that you can get 3 weeks off at a moment's notice for a religious belief, can't I start, kind of utilizing my Christian beliefs to get more days off, to get more time out?
Well, sure, you could, as long as you're willing to take whatever reasonable alternative the employer throws out there. Let's say you need a week or so off, and the employer says, well, I can't give you that week. I can find a substitute for you this other week. Can you do it that other week? It's about working together to find some sort of compromise, and whichever side isn't willing to work towards that compromise is going to lose. Now, there have been other cases, and this isn't just a Muslim thing. There's a case where a worker had requested 2 weeks off to attend the Worldwide Church of God's Feast of Tabernacles, and the court found that because the employer didn't grant the request, that he was discriminated against because of his religion. Well, so I don't think this is just a Muslim thing.
Well, how much of this is affected by the fact that this is a public school, right? Yes. Public school. Okay. Yes. How much of it is affected? Because I would say if this was a private employer, that this should not even be, I know it still would be a case, but I don't think it should be, because a private employer can make their own decisions when it comes to this sort of thing. But given that it's a government job, how much of this is changed, or does it not make a difference?
Well, legally it doesn't make a difference. Politically it might, just because it's the school district, so maybe the Department of Justice is kind of thinking, well, since it's a public school, maybe there's more of a reason for us to get involved in this case. But the legal standard is the same.
I would have thought, anyway, like private employers, if you own a private business, you're protected. You have your own rights. I think part of your right as a private employer is that if somebody wants to take 3 weeks off for their religion, whether they're Muslim, Christian, or Jewish, or whatever, and you can't afford to give it to them, you're allowed to say, no, you can't go. I don't care if Johnny Smith got it 2 weeks ago. It's different now. I'm making a business decision. So a private employer should be able to make that decision no matter what, all the time, 100%. But if it's a government job, then I would think that it changes differently, because government jobs are protected by the same rights that private employers are.
Well, and then here's my question. Anybody can answer this. Matt, you can jump in on this, or Adam, you can answer this if you want. But since it is a public school, and now in this day and age, schools are completely absent of religion. Should we start just assuming that when teachers take on the job that they have to leave their religion at the door as well, because since it's not allowed to cross through the front doors? I'm just wondering if maybe that's just the solution, is that nobody gets any special treatment for any religion. Otherwise, everybody's going to get special treatment for every single religious holiday that comes up, or you can claim discrimination.
Well, I think what you're doing is you're kind of blurring the line between the fact that a teacher can't bring her religion in the classroom, teaching it, interacting with her students, versus how his or her religion outside of the classroom affects his or her ability to show up for work, or do certain things because of religious conflicts. That's
true, because it's one thing. Yeah, I agree. It's like I agree with the idea that a public school teacher, again, because it's a government job, shouldn't be in there preaching their own personal faith, because that's not. If that's what you want, then you go to a religious school, private school for that. But at the same time, I don't know how much they should be penalized because they want to. I actually respect. I'm not Muslim, obviously, and I have my problems with many Muslims. But I respect the fact that that she chose to go on the pilgrimage and gave up the job. And I also respect the fact that she's not the one filing the lawsuit.
Yeah, but okay. But the other problem I do have with this story is that she'd only been employed there for 1 school year before she came in and decided to, I'm going to take 3 weeks off this very next school year. I can understand. I know we hate on tenured teachers a lot around here sometimes, Matt, but it's like she hadn't even been there. She just got her foot in the door, and then the very next day it's like, oh, hey, I'm going to take this 3-week vacation. I understand what Adam's saying, that as soon as you get the funds, you're supposed to plan it and go. But seriously, you're not even there 1 year, and all of a sudden you're taking 3 weeks off?
Well, it's from my end. It's from my end. You got to go. You got to go. By the way, we got a text in from Brian. So it says, so if Muslims had the holy day of suicide bombings, would the government protect that?
Oh,
now, first of all, I can't see a teacher going, hey, listen, I got to go do a suicide bombing. I need a couple weeks off. I don't know if you need a few more weeks. I think you need longer than a couple weeks off.
You're going to call it a career.
Yeah, I got a couple suicide bombings to do. Is it cool if I take I might be coming in late today because I did suicide bombing on
I'm going to go and cash my pension right now. Is that cool? Is that good?
The school would have to work out some sort of alternative. Maybe you could say, well, I can't let you off on Tuesday because report cards are due, but Wednesday if you want a suicide bomb, we can do that, and then it wouldn't be discriminating.
Perfect. That's all about compromise when it comes to suicide bombing.
Absolutely.
My cousin Adam, interesting conversation.
Hey, before you guys let me go, I want to plug my website, mycousinadam.com, and follow me on Facebook.
How about you follow me on Facebook?
He does.
Look at this guy.
I do follow you. You follow me, or we'll follow each other.
Okay, yeah. I think we'll befriend each other on Facebook. We follow on Twitter. Do you have a Twitter?
No, I do not have a Twitter.
You should get on that Twitter, man.
We don't.
All right, that's the next step. Baby steps here. I got Facebook, I got a website, and next is Twitter.
All right, what's the website again?
mycousinadam.com.
Oh, check it out. Look at that. Yeah. All right, man. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys. Take care.